All right. Good morning, everybody. Welcome to the big Marketcast call. Very brisk morning on my neck of the woods, but as always want to give a couple minutes here to hop on. And if you can hear me and everything's working and you can see, please feel free to let me know. Market is higher in the futures are higher in the pre-market, which is what we expected after last week's finish. A lot of stocks to watch this week. But like I said, we'll give it a second. Hope it warms up. I'm supposed to play in a disc golf event on Sunday. Let's see here. What's it look like? Oh, well, definitely better. It's supposed to be a fun little event. A guy that we played with ended up buying a local disc golf shop, little hole in the wall in a strip center, but he bought it because the owner never really did anything. No website, no marketing, no advertising, no sponsoring, no nothing. So my friend felt like he could turn it into something. And that same friend is putting on an event. Not really, I don't know if you can call it an event, but he went there. He reached out to like eight of us to come play. Apparently, there's a online disc golf reality show competition or something, and he wants to do something like that here in town. I think he's going to stream it. I think he's going to try to do a little something, but so it'd be nice if it wasn't 32 degrees out. Although we've played in colder. Still, still feeling a little stuffed from all the Thanksgiving. Exactly, Carl. Yep. One of our friends, one year for Christmas, bought us all one of those, a little electric hand warmer. I got one of those heated vests too. But that was like, I mean, that was in our first couple of years we played no matter what. So I think the coldest we ever played in it was like 20 degrees. We threw when it was snow on the ground. But last year, I think we kind of the giddiness of those first couple of years, it kind of wore it off. And we're like, it's cold. But definitely when it gets up into that 40s area, or if it's like high 30s and sunny, we'll still go out and play. And believe it or not, a couple holes in, you're playing in a t-shirt. It starts to get a little warm. So yeah, those hand warmers are a must for sure. But all right, I've waited long enough. Let's go ahead and hop to it. Um, Up in the pre-market again, which is what was expected. Let's go talk about why we expected it. You can kind of see the S&P new closing high. Although it did notch a new closing high back on Tuesday as well. Um, but holding above that 6,000 mark, I don't know there's any reason not to expect higher, keeping in mind that NYSE, Dow, um, everybody else had already hit new highs. So we're just kind of waiting along. I will say that at the end of the week, the Russell looks pretty bearish these past couple of days, but if there's one thing we've learned pretty well, specifically over the past few months, is um, bullish signals and signs are bullish, neutral signs are bullish, and bearish signs and signals are bullish. As a matter of fact, anything that ever happens, as long as the world exists tomorrow, it's bullish, right? So it's really hard to hold a lot of weight, but momentum is lagging here. Those are two pretty bearish looking candles, which I assume means we're going to be up 3% today, right? Because that's just how awesome things are in the world. So not gonna not gonna bank on it. Nasdaq still struggling here a little bit. Those in my mentoring program, if you read the newsletter this morning, yeah, that's one of the things we pointed out in sectors. Like if you looked, we went back and we looked. Oh, what's been? Let's stop looking at a week. Let's look back over the past month. And tech has really had a rough go of it. It's the one. It's the only real the major sector that's in the red. Healthcare is a little bit has been kind of flat, but so you can see that here. But if markets keep trucking higher and higher, I would assume we're going to catch up at some point. Did close nicely, so on Friday. So we expect it to come in this week, leaning towards higher. I don't even know that I need to do these calls anymore. It's just higher, right? No matter what. That's some in-depth analysis. No matter what happens, apparently we're going higher. So we'll do our job. At some point, there will be some bearish signals, some bearish developments that will play themselves out. So, for example, we had this bearish momentum divergence here, played itself out pretty nicely. Okay. Um, so we'll continue to point them out, but for now, yeah, up no matter what, I suppose. And crash and or correction time, it's one of those things. I guess we'll know it when we see it. It's about the best we can do. So yeah, it's about that. I play on a disc golf team. We start playing in January. And playing. Where are you at again, Carl? Because we definitely don't start playing in January. I don't ever play in wind. That's for sure. I bail out if it's windy. Okay, so it's not too awesome for you either. But yeah, if it's windy, I'm not playing. I got better things to do to throw my disc to the left and have it get blown behind me somewhere. Within reason, that is. But all right, some of the stocks that I thought were worth looking at. Tesla, I really liked the setup here. You can kind of see a nice 360 shelf there. Certainly looks like it wants to go there. Nice turnaround from its low back on Wednesday. Nice follow through. I would think we're going to 360, and then if we can get through, let's see, yeah, pre-market up $7. So yeah, kind of what was expected. So I really like what this is showing us. And again, take out that 360, and I don't see any reason we don't see this thing making it to 400. So I kind of liked the setup here. Apple, you got to like this move through this 237.50, I guess, whatever you want to call that. But you look back, you can see a clear resistance area there, closing right at it. So I might want to see a little bit more of a convincing move through it. But again, remember, it doesn't matter. There's no such thing. We don't have a market anymore. It's bullish. That's it. A market's where we're up, down. There's bulls and bears. There are no bears. It's just bulls. So with that in mind, I would think we get through. But there are some other plays like Tesla that are out there where you don't have to worry about that line in the way. So if you can kind of get through that, I think you want to look at that. I like the way Amazon closed. We actually had a play on this, and it just wouldn't move. But as you can see, doing exactly what we thought. Those that are in prime time, Amazon doing exactly what we called for it to do. Just as usual, a day late. It's going to be at the 210. So kind of like the way this closed. I don't know if I'd be jumping in this at 210, but certainly think that this is one that's looking pretty sharp here. So Amazon, Apple, Tesla, who else? Burlington I had up there to start. You can see the 280 shelf, right? So earnings Senate popping up there above it, and 2 of the last 3 days, 3 of the last 5. Stock sitting right on that 280, okay, which 0% surprise. By the way, you can see the perfect example of no, we're not looking for support and resistance, right? Who cares? There's no such thing as looking. There literally doesn't exist because it's always there, right? You don't have to find it. There's no looking for it. So we're not looking for something that there's nothing to look for. Plus, there's 250 support and resistances all over the place, okay? Who cares? What we want to find are those levels that really stand out, that seem to matter more than others. So before the stock ever popped up above that 280, we knew 280 was important. Just look at it, right? That line was already there. We popped above it, and we'd expect that 280, right? That old living room ceiling, once we go up the steps, it should now become, right, the second floor. Ta-da, right? So we can anticipate that being support, but we never could have thought that if we were looking for support and resistance. Well, it hadn't been support. We've never been there, right? So as long as we hold that, I would think Burlington's going to go higher. 300, not a real shocker, right? Is going to be that first level of resistance up there. So if you can take that out, then now I think you're looking at the top side of this channel here. Okay. Who else are we watching? Let's see. We're watching VST. I think that might have been the only ones that we really were eyeballing. I feel like I'm missing somebody. No. No. I mean, I could be swayed into Bill right here. That 90 level is one that's been important in the past. I'm just not really a huge fan of that momentum divergence there. Doesn't give me the warm and fuzzies. Nope. I felt like I was missing somebody, but maybe not. Nope. I don't know. CRM is worth watching here. Certainly looks like it's potentially winding up for a move. I don't know. Worth a watch, I suppose. Let's see. I'd be cautious on the Bitcoin stuff. Just looking at Bitcoin certainly doesn't. I'd want to wait. I think I'd want to see Bitcoin. If you look at Bitcoin, I think the level I was looking at was somewhere around 98,000 or something like that. It's gotten in the way a few times. I think I'd rather see that pop on through there before I did anything. Let's see. Yeah, that might have been all we were looking at. Looking down the list here. I mean, I don't hate Microsoft. I don't know. Kind of liked. Obviously, it had some news that was looking decent until then, but um, yeah, I don't really have much to say. I mean, yeah, I like the close on Friday. I like what that did there. Meta, I wouldn't. I'd probably leave it alone. It's just a big mess in this area. I think if you can get through the 600, I think that's where it becomes interesting, right? Let's make this a little easier to see through here. You know, I think if you get through there, then it becomes a little bit more appealing. But otherwise, yeah, I don't see much. Those are the main stocks that I liked. Futu. Let's take a look at that, Barb. Futu is always well. It was more fun before, right? It's not quite the mover it was back there in September and October. Um, I mean, I don't know that anything right here does much for me. I think I probably stay away from it. I think 80 and 100 bring it back into play, but I think everything in the middle just kind of looks messy, right? Um, yeah. Let's look at some of his buddies though. Yeah. And then Microsoft, yeah, I looked at a second ago. I mean, I'm okay with its close on Friday. I think that I like these others a little better. I think a hold above 430 rather than here for me anyway. I think would be more bid early, but myself. You think about like a oh wait, what are we thinking, Barry? Thinking about a 430 call because I don't hate that. Like I said, I like the way it closed on Friday. Uh, that's where I'd be targeting it to go. So I think that makes some sense. SMCI news. Popping. Uh, certainly don't wouldn't want to do anything with it at the open. I think a regaining of 40 is where it becomes, but it looks like it's going to run right back up into where it stalled last week. And it's kind of where the bottom was back here, this area around 40. I'll tell you what though, I don't like the volatility of this thing lately. Kind of got stuck in the mud back here and really sucked over here. But here lately, but you can kind of see it's been moving. And it might be news dependent, but let's take a look at some premiums. What are we looking at over here? Well, they're also going to make you pay for that though too. So that's like $3. So I don't know. Yeah, I don't know. I mean, if you're not going a directional with it, I'd almost rather wait till like Tuesday, get some of this premium out, so you can just put a straddle on and hope for another $5 to $10 move. That seems to be what's working. Um, ANF, yeah, ANF is we've definitely traded this thing a lot. Yeah, I don't know. I don't know on that one. Although, let's see what this looks like. Pretty close, huh? It's like I took a shot at it right there. Yeah, I don't know. I think I'd like a close above 160 to get to 170, and obviously breaking above 170 is the ideal. Yes, Randy, it's up. I think $6 or $7. Yeah. So yeah, coming back to that, I don't know. I wouldn't. I mean, certainly don't chase it right out of the gate. But I think if you get close above 40, then I would. I don't even know that I think you just want calls. I would think. Square is going to take another shot. If we can back above 90. Oh, I'm sorry, block. Gonna pop pretty nicely, actually. $2.50. So that might be resuming. I always remember this too. Like when you look, one of the things that, so, my philosophy is keep things simple. Trading's hard enough. And it feels like sometimes everybody out there is trying to tell you to do the exact opposite. I would encourage you to gravitate to simplicity. Okay. And part of that I say because that is one of the things I remember an analysis, a study that was done as a retail trading public. The simpler we keep our trading, the better we will do. We have statistically better chance, right? But that's not what we're marketed and told to do. Okay. And it's, I've got all kinds of students can't fathom the idea. What do you mean? What are you talking about? How in the hell could you possibly trade without 6 screens in front of you, 27 indicators, and like explosions going off? There's got to be some laser lights, right? I mean, I've seen it in all the promos, right? It's like, cannot possibly fathom it. The complete flip side of that, there are thousands of traders all around the world trading good old fashioned point and figure. Go check that out if you're not familiar with it, right? There are tens of thousands of traders just looking at price, okay? So forth and so on. However, the point I'm getting to is in order to do that, you want to make sure, right? Notice the stocks that I brought up, okay? That 280 level, I think, is clear to most, if not anyone, on this call. Why am I saying 280 is important? Well, it's resistance once, twice, 3, 4, 5 times when we are under it. I'd expect it to be important now that we're above it. Okay, this 300 goes back as a level. Okay, I don't think that's a shocker to anybody. That Tesla 360, I think any one of you could have drawn that line right there just like I did. Look at Apple. 1, 2, 3. I mean, you guys need me to point out that that's a pretty important resistance. I didn't say resistance, right? It's a pretty important level of resistance. These are all resistances. Who cares? I'm not buying just because we move above this resistance. How would that have worked out for me? How would that have worked out for me? Right? I'm not going to do that. But if you want to break out through a meaningful level, okay? So everybody get my drift? Like the stocks I'm pointing out, notice what they all have in common. I'm bringing them up because there's clear breakout points. There's clear entries. There's absolutely no question what to do. Doesn't mean the trade's going to work out. That's a part of it. But there's never confusion, right? So keep in mind, you are always more than welcome and you are encouraged to walk away. There's all kinds of stocks I'll pull up and I'll go, I don't know. I don't know what I would do with that right there. Right? I'm looking at Microsoft. I'm like, oh, I don't know. Maybe. I think it closed well on Friday. Market's up in the pre-market. I'd expect it to move higher. I think this 430 is where it'd want to go. So I think there's a trade here for sure. Right? Notice what I mentioned about ANF. I'd really like it if it moved above 170. Exactly. Does anybody need me to tell them that? Look how important that level is. What do you think we might want to do if we failed to hold this 130 down here? So keep in mind, in order to trade based on this simplicity, you do need to find the things that look like this and that tell you what to do. And if they don't tell you what to do, don't trade it. That's what's great about it, right? It's kind of like, if you like candlesticks and your favorite jam is hammer candles, that's your thing. Well, if you pull up a stock and there's no hammer on it, my advice would be don't trade that one. Go trade the ones where you find your hammers that you like so much. But I can't find any. You know what? Great reason not to trade anything. You don't have to trade, right? So remember, when you're pulling these things up, if you don't see anything, walk away from it. Now, there are, in fairness, a lot of stocks that we keep just because they move, right? And so with us doing a lot of hedging and strangles and things of that nature, just simply moving around a lot, okay? Um, we like the best of both worlds, but um, Lulu's one that we like because it typically moves. Seems to be struggling back around this 330 level again. Okay, something goes back a ways, but this thing moves pretty well for us most of the time. So there are some stocks we talk about SMCI. I mean, there's some stocks that here late I'm talking about its movement. There are times certainly where we keep things in where maybe there isn't the greatest level here or there, but it's moving. But most of the time, look at the things that were when I'm bringing up. We talked about Bill and this 90 level. Talked about this 80 level a week or two ago, and how that break is what led us to make a trade in expectation of it going to 90, the next level up. Okay, thought 85 could be an issue, but by the time we put our trade on, we were already through it. Right? So keep that in mind. Remember, you don't have to trade anything. Find the things that are telling you what to do. So at least you don't ever have to question that part. Right? Scott, we covered Microsoft a couple times. Did you catch it? Hey, good morning, Eric. Good morning. Well, you and I got to be talking about that cup of coffee here soon. Can't believe we're inside of a month. My oldest daughter will not let me forget how many days are left. I got to hear it every day. Super stoked that one is. Um, but yeah, so Scott, I don't know if you heard the Microsoft breakdown, but I'm not really, news can do any number of things, and quite commonly, reactions to news events and such are the exact opposite of what you would think. And so I don't really make decisions based on that. I let the stock do the talking, right? So if the stock does X, I think if Microsoft takes out that 430, it becomes I would be buying calls independent of any news, right? I think the news only matters to me in the fact that it could create volatility. But neither you nor I, nor anybody on this call or anybody on this planet know how a stock is going to react to news, even if we know it's coming, right? Even if we think it's bullish, we see stocks tank like that all the time. Well, thank goodness, Eric, because it is frigid right now. Just kidding. It's like 32, but feels kind of cold. But I don't think you get the swings in weather down there, dude, that we do, right? Like in Ohio, that's the joke. You don't like the weather? Wait a minute, it'll change. And that is like that. If you told me it was going to be 60 degrees next week, wouldn't shock me at all. Right? We'll have winter, we'll have snow one day and then 70 in January. But yeah, Scott, circling back here, you know, remember, the best news feed in the world on any stock you're looking at is the stock. Okay, let it guide you more than anything else. Okay, now again, we have thrown our hat in the ring trying to take advantage of volatility based on news, right? But hey, well, we're playing the volatility though. I don't know that I ever pick a side on news, right? It doesn't matter if it's bullish news. Who cares, right? Who on this call hasn't seen a stock release great earnings and it tanks, right? Who hasn't seen a great jobs report and the market tanks, right? CPI and it tanks, right? It doesn't matter, right? It's impossible to kind of know. Although what we have, I got to mark. I've missed a Fed announcement. What we have noticed quite often is the market will not tend to, it commonly tips its hat, hand, whatever, and what it plans on doing, right? So that's why I started marking FOMC announcements so people could see all the market really ever does is what it said it was going to do the day before or what it was already doing. So let's say we take a look at Microsoft and let's say this event comes up and let's say you have pushed through. To me, it looks like this 430 right here is a short-term level, right? And it's a price that's not uncommon for this stock. Look at how it was a short-term resistance here. And we tried our darndest, but could never quite get through here, right? So I would think if we hold above 430, now then I might be more interested in buying calls only, right? So I might go that route. But I mean, I kind of like the way it closed on Friday. But again, I like something like Tesla. I really like the way this is probably my favorite coming out of Friday. But unfortunately, it's opening up $7. So, but if you take out that 360, right? I think that would make a lot of sense. I think Burlington, right? I think as long as it holds this 280, and look, here we are moving up $4 right off of it. Okay. I think if you hold 290, that probably means the door is open to 300. And I think your big move is breaking through 300. Then you're probably running to the top of this channel, which at that time could be at 315, 320. Who knows? Right. So I wouldn't do anything here on this. Remember, I mean, patience, waiting, discipline. I mean, these are everything. You don't have to trade anything. Let your trades come to you. You dictate what happens. Don't let the market dictate to you. Right? If you know you want Burlington on a breakthrough 300, then don't do anything. Right? Sit back. Let's see. Pretty gapped out to start the day. And what again, getting back to the movement, what I do like about this is the movement of the stock is kind of appealing. I'd be curious once some prices settle in here, what something like a 300 call, because that's where we want to go, and then maybe hedge it just in case. I think all of us have to be a little bit nervous on the market because at some point the gravy train ends, right? At some point, one of these bearish signs plays itself out. So I think we're obviously a little long in the tooth here without a real meaningful drop. Lulu turning around here a bit. I think Lulu closes above 330. I like this one. And all these little lines are my levels from the past, and kind of wait to see if they still hold up. Same thing like when I looked at Meta. Everybody see what I mean? Like, notice how everything just kind of looks like a mess. This 560 level, I don't know if it really even matters anymore, right? The market seems to have erased it as meaningful, right? So if I get rid of this, it just looks like a mess, right? I mean, just a mess. But what would be interesting to me would be a close above 600. Now that would look like we got something going. So stay away from it. Go find something else. Wow, Square pop in here, $4. I'm sorry, block. Apple's above, right? So there you go. $242.50s are only 90 cents. I mean, I can't remember last time I put any kind of meaningful trade on a Monday morning. I tend to like to wait at least till Monday afternoon, kind of get some of this premium out. And also, as most of you know, I like waiting till the end of the day, no matter what, anyway. Like that 3:30 to 4 o'clock block where you can kind of see maybe where you're ending up and what's the sign for the day. I mean, I don't know what's going on up here at app. Maybe it's 340. I don't know. It's hard to say here. Something. I mean, we can kind of see we keep stalling here. So app's kind of pricey, or at least it has been. That was a pretty nice reversal. I wish we would have looked at it. That implied higher. But oh well. Look at Burlington go. You know what I mean? So I'm gonna keep an eye on Burlington too. Apple made it through. There goes Amazon. It's funny. Couldn't get Amazon to do that on Friday. Ooh. Why we want to do that? But, all right, so those are the ones we're gonna keep an eye on. Otherwise, hey, let's make some money this week and we'll do it again next Monday. All right. Everybody have a great week. Bye-bye.